Now we're going to talk about getting the strings on the guitar. We've gone through the last two videos, which is getting the strings off, getting your guitar polished, and now we're going to put strings back on. Again, we're going to put on some Elixir Light, the Nano Web strings, and we'll just go through how to put those on. Really, really easy to do, so nothing to worry about here. 6 strings, starting with the lowest string being a .012, highest string being a .053. And I'm going to start with the heaviest string. And in this case, because it's a light gauge, .053. Okay, that's the thickness of the string. And so we'll put the other strings aside. We'll take this out. Now, make sure your hands aren't full of, ketchup and salt and scrud, and you don't want a bunch of junk on your hands before you put your strings on. That's not going to be cool. So make sure your hands are semi-clean and not all nasty and sweaty. So first thing here, we're just going to uncoil the string. You just kind of pop around. I'll show you that in a little bit more detail next string here. We'll just pop the string out. I'm not going to handle these things any more than I have to. We're going to grab one of our tuning, one of our bridge pegs that we've left here on the floor, the earlier lesson. I'm going to stick the string in the hole here. No particular way it has to go in. You'll see the little ball on the end of it. That's what's going to help keep it in there. We'll stick it in the hole, and then we'll take the peg, and there's a little groove in this particular one that I'm using, and we'll put that in there with it lined up with the string. So this groove here, we're just going to stick that in with the string, and it'll start to push that ball down. I'll pull up on the string a little bit as I'm pushing the peg in, just enough, and it'll help that ball get set in where it's supposed to be on the bridge. And then we'll come up here with the string, and we'll turn the thing so I've kind of lined up, and there's see a hole in your tuning peg here. We'll pull this through, and I'm not going to pull it tight. If I pull it tight, I'm not going to have anything to coil around this. So what I want to do is I want to leave some slack. The bigger the string, the less slack I need to leave, because it doesn't take a lot for these strings to grab if they're wound like this. So I'll push that against this, and here's where we need our peg winder. It comes in handy again to tighten these up. Now we're not worried about getting it in the right tune. I wouldn't mind getting it in the ballpark so they're stretched out right, but we're just going to start turning this. And I want this thing to turn so that the string starts to wind towards the inside of the guitar. Not the outside, but the inside of the guitar, that way. So you notice I'm turning this, if I'm looking at the peg, I'm turning it counterclockwise. Okay? And you'll see that start to go, and the string is going to start to bend. Now right here is where I'll take this string and I'll pop it straight up. Now be careful with these. These again have a sharp point, as I've talked about in the earlier videos, and you don't want it to catch you in the eye. Then I'll take, this is how I do it, everybody has their own way, but I'll take this string, I'm going to turn the guitar here for a second so you can see what I'm doing. I'll take this string and I'm going to put one thumb on it to push down and keep that string in the groove in the nut, and I'm going to take the other one here to pull up on the string. I want to keep tension on the string the whole time. I want to keep it lined up in this groove, and I'm going to try to wind it tight here so that there's no slack and it's not slipping. Okay? And Ricky, can you see that okay? Good, good. Alright, so let's put this back on here. Grab the peg winder again, and just very quickly put this on. And we're going to let this cool. Now, when you get up to a point where you're getting ready to come around the string, I want you to take your thumb. You'll notice I took my thumb, I went from here to up here, and I pushed down on this string. And that's because as it wraps, as you come around to where you're going to make the second loop, you're going to see where your string is coming out of this hole. I want it to go on the underside of that and start to wrap around the bottom side of the string here. Ricky, I'm even going to walk up to you because this is actually pretty important. Where that string starts to wind around, I want it to come underneath that. It's really important that you do that. It'll help keep your string from getting a kink in it and breaking easier. So right as I come around to this, I'm going to push this string down here and wind underneath it. That's the hardest part for really just telling you how to change strings. Once you understand that, it's just easy, and then you just wind it up and push down. I can come back down here once I've made that first loop, because it should naturally go on the bottom side of it. Voila, first string in. Now that seemed to take a little bit, but I'll tell you, once you get used to this, it goes pretty quick. So let's take the next string and we'll just do one a little bit faster pace, but hopefully walk you through the same process. So the string comes like this. It's coiled up in a nice little coil, easy to fit in the package. You're going to take one of the ends of the string and just simply unwind it from around the coil, and it will start to pop loose, and let it do its thing. Back this thing off a little bit so it's got some extra stuff. I'm not putting tension on it right now because I'll pull it right back out of the hole. I'm going to wind it just enough to where I can pull on it and the string won't slide out of the hole. So once it gets about a half turn, then I can put tension and I can pull it. Be careful as you're looking down on this thing. You got 6 sharp points pointing up at you, and you don't want to poke your eye out. So that goes without saying. It's common sense, but be careful nonetheless. All right, there we go. Got some hole up towards the top. Pop the string up. Things in the groove. All right, there we go. We got the strings on. Last but not least, we'll come through and snip the ends of them off. I typically won't do that till after I get the guitar tuned, but just real quickly I'll show you on these, on the wound ones, because they're not going to slip. Come through and I'll just rush the flat side of these just so I'm getting it as close as I can. I don't want to get it clear down by the hole, but I want it a length about consistent with level with the top of this tuning peg here, and we'll just snip it off. It'll leave a sharp point, so be careful. Don't lose these. You're not going to want to step on them. And we'll just clip these off real quick. And off we go. I generally want this to make sure this isn't going to slip. So I'm going to want to get relatively close to in tune. And it's not in tune, but it's close enough to where I know that I've grabbed, I'm not going to slip, and pull the string back to the hole. So there we go. And voila, we have strings on the guitar. Check out the next video. We'll show you how to get this thing in tune.